And welcome to your quick tutorial on how to administer a checkpoint on unique learning systems. First of all, I just want to start off by introducing Everway. If you haven't met Everway yet, Everway is the new name for the suite for News to You. So, News to You is the overall arching umbrella that holds all of these programs, these curriculum tools that we have. And one of those tools is unique learning systems. So, hopefully, this name change will help us start separating those two things. News to You is the former name of News to You, and now we are referring to it as Everway. So when you hear us talk about Everway, this is what we are referring to. So when you go to newstoyou.com, you are going to be redirected to Everway. Everway is going to be the overall program. When you get to this website, you are going to go ahead and sign in with the same login information that you had before when it was News to You. And we are going to be focusing on unique learning systems today because that is where we house our checkpoints. The first thing you want to do, however, is make sure that your students are seated. Before you can administer checkpoints or benchmarks or any sort of data collection tools within unique learning systems, you have to make sure that your students are seated and that their profiles are completed. So, in order to do that, you're going to add the student. And if it is an existing student, you select an existing student. If they are a new student, you're going to create a new student. When you select existing student, you're going to go ahead and search here, and you're going to see all the names in CMS of students who have unique learning systems profiles. So that is how you add those students. And once you add those students, you will be ready to go ahead and administer those checkpoints. The way you access those checkpoints is by going into Unique Learning Systems and selecting News to You GPS. Once you are in your GPS, you will see a sample student, or you'll see a real student at the top of your page. And in order to select your student, you're going to click this blue rectangle on the side here, and you are going to see the list of students that are seated in your class. When you're administering any checkpoint, you want to make sure that you are selecting the student that you want to administer that checkpoint for, and then it will open up their profile down here. Checkpoints are on the left hand, or I'm sorry, the right hand side over here where it says unit checkpoints. And that is going to bring you to the checkpoint homepage. Let's talk a little bit about when and why we are administering these checkpoints. So, for the summer program, you are going to be only administering two checkpoints. Two checkpoints. One is going to be at the first week, and one will be the last week of extended school year. These checkpoints serve to collect data on the efficacy of our unit lessons within ULS. This is a very important piece of data because over the course of the 5 weeks that students are being served during extended school year, we need some data to show that the curriculum has grown them and it is effective. And this is where we get that true curriculum piece. Over the course of the content slides that you are going to be given to support you through the summer, you are going to see that there will be checks for understanding, and we will be taking data that way as well as we go as more of a formative measure. But these are truly our pre and post test opportunities to show overall growth. So that is why we are administering these checkpoints. It is extremely important that the pre test, the first checkpoint, is completed that first week of extended school year. That is something that we will be checking on and monitoring. We need that first checkpoint done. That is our benchmark. It is extremely important. So all students in your class will have to have their benchmark by the Thursday of that week. And that is the week of the 23rd when we start. 24th, 25th, and 26th are the days that you have to administer those checkpoints to all your students. By the 26th, they will need to be completed. All right, so here's how you're going to administer those checkpoints. You're going to click on your sample student and you're going to make sure that you are in the correct unit. Unit 30 is going to be our summer unit. When you scroll down, it's going to give you the option to select a grade band. So in this hypothetical, let's just say you are teaching elementary, and that is the grade band that you are selecting for your student. It is then going to ask you which test you're administering to your student. So it is very important to note the level of your student. So in this example, my sample student is a differentiated level 1. That means that I should be giving them the test in level 1. Level one happens to be a combined content, reading, and mathematics test. That would be the test that I'm going to administer. Now, if my student is a level two or three, that gets a little bit more complicated, but that is fine. You are going to be administering content understanding, reading, and mathematics. You do not have to do word recognition. And truthfully, you do not have to do content understanding unless that student, for some reason, needs some kind of support in written expression. So, if you are only focusing on reading and math, if they qualified for extended school year through reading and math, you want to only administer those reading and math checkpoints. Now, those are going to be two separate checkpoints. So, you will need to give level two and three students a reading and a mathematics pre-test or checkpoint. All right. Look at one combined content. Okay. Combined content reading and mathematics. You are going to want to make sure that you select your test and you select pre-test. Now, if you have not given a pre-test in this unit, which hopefully you have not, if you are giving this for extended school year, it will not let you give the post-test. So a little bit of built-in support there. You're going to select pre-test, and then you are going to choose either teacher login, offline, or student view. Typically, what we see are people using teacher login or student view, but offline can be useful as well. What offline would be is if you print out the PDF up here, or sorry, down here, if you print out the printable instructions and you give it to the student completely offline, just away from a virtual platform, you can then enter the information on the offline checkpoint platform. Let me show you what that looks like. So let's say in this hypothetical, you have given it with a hard copy, that paper copy, you completed the test, and then you are going to go ahead and enter it offline. Then it would give you this platform to enter the answers. So you would just enter those answers as they gave them. Let's see if it lets me go with no. Oh, it's not going to. Okay, let me just go ahead and answer these. So it lets me click through. There we go. All right, so that would be the example of offline. But let me go ahead and show you the student view as well as the teacher view. So the student view is going to be for those students that are either completing it independently or you would like to complete it on their profile. When you do the student view, make sure you have all your correct things, your grade band, your test type, and that you're doing pretest, and student view is going to allow you to assign it to the student. And so you always have to enter that student name in order to move forward. Oop. All right. And that would assign it to the student. So then you would log in through the student profile and you would have the student either take it independently or you would support them by sitting next to them and facilitating it through their student profile. So I'm going to go ahead and unassign this. Da-da-da. Okay. So let me show you the teacher login. This is a really common way that people administer these checkpoints in unique learning systems. So if you are sitting side by side with the student or you're supporting them, you can also administer this through teacher view. I typically do teacher login because I sit with my students and support them through it, but it really depends on the level of support your students need. So here's what teacher login looks like. You'll go ahead and run the test. You'll enter that student name and it is going to give you the full test with the verbal cues that you're going to be giving. So, okay. So it will present these answers and you will read it exactly how the bold down here says to read it. Jaren sees a fish. Who is Jaren? It's really important to look at the parameters of attempt one and attempt two because it tells you what you're going to be able to give. So in attempt one, it says response options may be presented verbally, no additional prompts. So that means we cannot touch the options. We have to just give those verbal prompts. This one's a little silly because one of the verbal prompts is actually saying Jaren's name, but that's okay. This is level one. You will have students who are still unable to yet answer this question, even with that verbal prompt. So it's good data. So you'll say, Jaren sees a fish. Who is Jaren? Is it Jaren, a car, or a ball? And then you're going to go ahead and give whatever response time the student needs, anything that you typically do, but this is going to be the least amount of prompting, right? So they will go ahead and make an answer choice, or they won't. If they say no response, you click no response, it goes down to two options. If they answer incorrectly, it goes down to two options, and then you can go to attempt two. So let's say they answer car. Now you're at attempt two, and it lets you know that you can add verbal, gestural, or physical prompts. So Jaren sees a fish. Who is Jaren? And then you can tap to the answers and say, is it Jaren or a ball? Which one? Give them their response time, let them get an option to answer there. And then if you do have to give a full physical prompt, now a partial physical you may do. Like go ahead and touch the shoulder, kind of initiate that understanding of I'm asking you to make a selection, those sorts of things. That is fine. But we cannot use a full physical prompt. So that would be like lifting the hand and touching the answer. That is going to be a no response. So you're not going to give them the correct answer for that. So if you have to do a full physical prompt, you're going to say no response. But if you have to do a partial, a gestural, or a verbal prompt, that is okay. And they get the answer right, fabulous. They go ahead and get that right. And then you're going to go through all of the answers. You're going to see math and reading are combined here, and any notes. So typically you might want to note like, for all questions, student needed partial physical and gestural. Okay, like that would just be an example. So you have some data or some anecdotal pieces for you to look back on so you can remember. All right, so that is how you give the checkpoints. And when you give a pre-test, it's going to have a little bar for pre-test. When you give the post-test, it's going to have a little bar for post-test, and it's going to allow you to compare the efficacy of the curriculum that you are giving over extended school year. This is just one piece of data collection. Make sure that you check out the video support for benchmarks, IEP goal progress monitoring, and data collection tools, as well as parent communication logs. All of these are examples of data that we are going to be taking during extended school year that you need to be comfortable with, and feel free to reach out for support to your monitor. They will be able to support you through these processes and really help you understand these tools that we are using over extended school year. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for listening.